Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafty friends, today we're going to be using the Love from Lizi May 2020 card kit for our 10 cards today. So here we go with card number 1, and I have all the measurements there on the screen. You can pause it and take down what we're going to be using. So for a start, I have a card base and it measures 12 by 6 and I've scored a 3 and 9. So with this card base, I have got my matte and layered, and these pieces are going to go on the front. I'm going to speed everything up now so the video doesn't take too long, and we're going to stick down or glue down our 2 front panels. Lovely. Inside I'm going to put the 2 other panels to each side, and I thought the papers in the kit that we used this month are just lovely. I really loved using this kit. I do love it every month, it has to be said, but the month of May is my birthday month, so yeah, I really liked these papers. Okay, so now we're going to put down our center panel, and this has our stamped sentiments. There's room here to write a message, or I'm going to also put some mats and layers on the back, and on this you can put a sentiment in the middle of this panel and write your message to the person it's going to. Now the mechanism I'm using, I have shown how to do these before. I have a video on my YouTube channel showing you how to put these together. I'll put a little didgeridoo there in the top right hand corner, and there'll be a link in the description below showing you how to make the little mechanism and how to affix it on. But you can see here what I'm doing. So I'm making sure that the mechanism that goes onto my panel on the left is on the left hand side, and the one for the right is on the right hand side. You need to make sure that when you're sticking these little panels down that you use strong adhesive. So I wouldn't really recommend tape runner unless you know it's going to be really strong and hold up, but you can use liquid adhesive and also double-sided tape. So now I'm sticking the mechanism into the card, and I'm making sure that the panel is sitting in where the score line is on the right hand side, and I'm going to do it again here on the left hand side. Lovely. And that's our 2 floating panels. All we need to do now is make our belly band. I have mine made here. I've just wrapped it around my card and then stuck down my little panel on the front. We also got some beautiful little organza flowers, and I'm going to put 3 of them on the belly band. And that's our first card made. Now we're moving on to card number 2. I have the measurements on the screen for you again, so pause the video. And now I'm going to glue everything down together. I have some double-sided tape on the back of this panel just to make sure everything adheres down. And I'm going to use my liquid Nuvo Glue to stick this down. The decoupage panel there I stuck down onto some of the matte card, and I fussy cut around that just so it would pop when it goes on my main central panel. So I'm going to stick this down onto my card base, and I went with cream card base. I thought it picked up nicely on the colours in the pattern papers. And I have lots of layers on that decoupage because I've used some foam tabs to go behind it. Now, because of the center strip, the matte center strip, and the peel-offs, I'm using little pieces of the card to go either side of that strip, just so that my decoupage piece isn't bowed over that central piece. That's a trick I picked up from Kirsty Marcotte. So I'm just going to make sure that's stuck down. Now with the extra piece of patterned paper I'd left over, I stuck that onto a piece of white card which measured 5.5 by 5.5, and that way it brought a bit of the front of the card to the inside of our card, And again, I put a strip across the middle and just one of the peel-offs across the inside. So here we are, moving on to card number 3. Again, if you pause the video now, you'll be able to make a note of all the measurements that I have on the screen. So my card base, as you can see, is 12 by 6, and I've scored it at 9 and at 6, and that'll give us our Z-fold on the right hand side. I have my panel for the front, my panel for the back, I have my little pieces to embellish it, and this is the Z-fold strip, and I've given you all the measurements for the length and how wide they are. So I have a white piece, I have the brown mat, and then using the scraps of the butterfly paper and the polka dot paper, I had to use scraps in order to embellish this part of the card, and it'll sit on our base just like that. And then when we open it up, the Z will open up with the card base. So normally you would see it with the folds on the left hand side, but we're going to do them on the right. So I've sped everything up now, and I'm just going to adhere down all our papers and matte layers. So this is our focal panel really, and I'm going to put some of the decoupage on this piece, but I'm leaving room on the card. You'll see that there'll be room beside where the decoupage piece will go and where I'm sticking down this panel. To the top third of this panel I'm going to leave open, because I want to be able to at a later date put you know, if it's a person's name or the age they're going to be. I've left room to do that. I've also put a little floating panel on the Z-fold part that I'm sticking down, and I've taken a picture of the finished card, and you'll see that at the end where the little have a lovely day panel is floating. But I have a YouTube tutorial on my channel, so if you want, there will be a link down below and you can pop over and see how I did it in more detail on that. So I'm just making sure my decoupage is nice and straight. I have a little butterfly, going to stick that there above a banner with happy birthday on it, and I'm going to use some Glossy Accents on the butterflies that's on the decoupage, as well as this one that I'm going to stick down. I'm going to use my Nuvo my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, and I'm going to use my Glossy Accents on any sequins that I stick down. So I'll just use my little pickup tool to pick up the sequins and pop some of them down around the card. Now I just have to stick down our happy birthday and our little butterfly for on the back, as well as our panel, and this is where you will write your sentiment or your well wishes, your happy birthday wishes, on this back panel. And that's that card finished. For card number 4, we're going to again make a Z-fold card, but this Z-fold is going to be on the left hand side. And I've put all the measurements down there for you again. So we have our focal point in the middle this time. I have a matte layer in cream to go on the inside, and this is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And then I have my side panels to go on each side. So we'll speed everything up now and assemble our card. I'm going to stick down my patterned paper to my side panel matte layers, and I'm going to use some of my Nuvo Glue to do that. I'm also going to stick down my focal panel using my liquid adhesive, and then I will stick that down onto the card base. I'm going to use some little butterflies with the die that came in the kit to embellish this card, and I'm going to die cut them out of the scraps of paper that have been left behind. So the little butterfly, the colours on them will match the colours in the pattern paper. I'll also take a sentiment out of my stash. You'll probably see that a lot of my cards are get well soon cards. This is something that I needed for my stash here at home. I had one get well card left, so I thought, you know what, this kit is beautiful. I'm going to use it to make some get well cards. So I've stuck down my central focal panel. I've die cut out the words someone special, and I'm going to stick them down on the front. Now you could put that down as a special someone, but I've put it down as someone special. You might be able to hear Buster. He's under my table while I'm recording, and you can hear his nails on the wooden floor, so I do apologize. I've also got a little bow over there, and you can see it's a pink bow. We got some lovely ribbons in the kit, and this one I liked the color. It matched the colors on the card, but I found it was a very stiff ribbon and it didn't tie bows very well. So I took one of the other ribbons. This is a lovely peach ribbon with little flowers and leaves in the background, and this one is lovely. It's soft, it ties a nice bow. So I was debating which one I was going to go for, but I'm going to go for that peach colored ribbon for a finish. So I'm just deciding where I want my little butterflies, and once I have them where I want them, I'm going to stick them down again using some liquid adhesive. Once they are dried, what I do is I take a micron pen, a number 2, and I draw in the little antennae for the butterflies. I just think it finishes them nicely, and you'll see that on the finished cards at the end. I've also heated up my Sizzix glue gun to stick down my little bow. I just find with ribbons I like to be sure that they're going to stay down, and I've used glue dots before and sometimes they can be hit and miss, so I just stick with my hot glue gun. So now you can see I've taken a sentiment from my stash, Get Well sentiment, and I'm going to use some VersaFine Onyx black ink and stick down a Get Well Soon. I'm also going to put another sentiment under that later on, and I'll do that off camera. So I'm going to stick a little butterfly over the Get Well, and then that's that card finished. And now we're moving on to card number 5, and this card is pretty simple. We have our card base, our patterned paper. I have a strip of paper there, and that was just an offcut from the patterned paper. I'm using one of the tags. I've die cut out a scalloped oval in white, and I have stuck one of the tags that came, and I've put the decoupage on that. You can see there it's a couple of layers thick. I've also put some glossy accents on all the birds that are going to be showing on this card, on the pattern paper and on my decoupage, as well as some Spectrum Noir sparkle pen and some glossy accents. So I'm going to start by speeding this up and sticking everything down. So I'm using my Collall Glue to stick down my patterned paper onto my card base. I find that when the Collall Glue dries, it gives a nice stiff texture to the card. I have my sentiment inside. This is a birthday card, so I've used a couple of sentiments from my stash, and that little strip that was extra when we cut down our center panel for the front, that's gone on the inside. We got a corner die as well in the kit this month, and it has a beautiful kind of a filigree look to it. I'm going to put 2 of those on the card front, one on the top right hand corner and one on the bottom left hand corner. And once they're adhered down, then I'm going to put on my focal piece to the front. And again, I'm using the Collall Glue to stick that down. I have one of the little birds there over to the side, and this was an ephemera piece that came in the kit. I'm just going to stick that inside so it all matches nicely, and that's that card. We're at card 6. I have the measurements on screen for you to pause, and it's another fairly easy, simple card. We've just got our card base, our mat, and our focal paper. Our Lizi peel-offs this month are just straight, all the same width peel-offs with a bit of sparkle on them, and I'm going to put a peel-off across the top and across the bottom, and I've come in about a ½ an inch from the bottom and the top with those peel-offs. I've again folded them around the back a little bit and trimmed them, and I'm going to stick that down onto our lovely green coloured mat. I've taken some of these little pieces. They came out of our die cut corner border that we got. They make a lovely heart shape, and it was Sarah who did a Love for Lizi tutorial who I seen do this, and I thought that's really cute, so I've added it in here on this card. I'll put a link to her tutorial down in the description below. I'm going to sprinkle some sequins around this card, and I'm also going to take some Glossy Accents and some Spectrum Noir and decorate the front of this card on the paper. With the Glossy Accents, what I do is I just go around the edge of each petal with the Glossy Accents, and it gives a real depth to the card. You can't really see it in the pictures there, but it does look really nice. Next is card 7. Here's all the measurements for you for this card. I have used one of the products that came in the kit. We got a little bottle of Nuvo Shimmer powder, and it creates a beautiful metallic colour burst on your paper. And this one is called Green Parade, and I used this on some watercolour paper that I have in my stash. I made a big page of it, and then I cut out my sizes, and you could see there I die cut out 2 of those little corner embellishments from the center panel, because no one will even know that that's been cut out. So using my Collall Glue, I'm going to stick down this panel, and this is going to go inside our card, and I'm going to put a sentiment on this at a later date. So I'm going to stick that down onto that. And then I've got some foam tape on my frame. I used 2 dies to die cut out this frame, but you can just cut it out using a sharp blade and ruler or a trimmer. And I'm going to stick the frame down onto my focal panel. I want to make sure that the sentiment which I've embossed, especially for you, is nice and straight on the panel. So the panel looks crooked on the back of the frame, but it will be nice and straight on the front. I used 2 stamps that came, I used 3 stamps that came in the kit for this focal point on the front of my card. And the 2 birds that are on there, I took one of my white colouring pencils and coloured them in a little, just so that they would stand out more. I've die cut out 3 vellum butterflies using the die that came, the little teeny tiny butterfly die that came in the kit. And these little embellishments that I'm putting on the bottom right and front left of the card, these were just little pieces that came out when I die cut out the corner piece. And I just thought that, you know, they'd look cute on the front. And sure, why throw them away? Where I'm going to join the 2 together in the middle, I'm going to take a little gem and pop that there where that little opening is, and it'll hide where the two have been glued together. And the gem I've used, it's a little pearl is what I've used over these. I thought the pearl went well with this card, and so I decided to put a little drop of glue in the center of each butterfly and pop a pearl on there as well. I think this card is really elegant. It would be nice for a wedding anniversary or even a wedding card with the two little birds. I could have centered those two little birds better on the card, but I was just stamping away to my heart's content, chatting away with the hubby, and I didn't think of where I was putting them, but I like that it's kind of off to one side. So here you can see I'm sticking down the corners, and this piece then will go inside our card. So I like that the this lovely green parade colour burst is going to be on the inside. It gives a nice border around where our sentiment panel is. And that's that card. Here's some images of this card. Card number 8 was inspired by one of Christy Marcotte's card challenges. So I thought I would put this in with my 10 cards 1 kit. I really like this card. I love the patterned paper with all the little birds on it. So now I'm going to take my Cosmic Shimmer glue, and this one just keeps clogging up. It's driving me mad. Anyway, I'm going to use this to stick down all our different papers and our different layers. On my fishtail banner, I have put some of Lizi's peel-offs, and I have stuck them down with some double-sided tape. So I'm going to put some liquid adhesive on this, so I'll be able to move this little piece around, making sure it's straight. And then I'm going to put this cream piece down, and I have one little peel off on the top of that, and that's going to line up with the little bottom piece of the peel off over there on the left, because between those two I'm going to have this panel, and I've put some double-sided foam tape on this panel so it lifts it from the card base. I'm going to make sure and get that down nice and straight. Then this little piece of patterned paper was cut off when I was cutting my 6x6 panel to size, and I've just stuck that on the inside. I'm going to put down some sequins on the front of the card. I'm also going to take some Glossy Accents and fill in the little birds and the buds on the two, on the branch, the two buds. And other than that, I've used a little bit of the Glossy Accents to put little dots on the front of the card as well. You can't see them, but when the shine hits it, you just see these lovely little dots, and they're lovely. Card number 9, we're using this handmade rose petal paper, and this is so lovely. I've taken one of the cut aparts, and I'm going to use that as a focal point on the center of this card. So you have all the measurements here. Let's go ahead and put our card together. I'm starting with a little strip for inside the card. I'm going to put that down there around the bottom. And once that's all stuck down, we can then move ahead to the front of our card. So again, I'm using the Collall Glue here so that when this dries, it will make sure that our panel is nice and stiff on the front. I'm going to then put some glue on the little corner die cuts that I have here, and I'm going to use 4 of these in each of the corners. I'm using my Cosmic Shimmer glue to stick these down onto this beautiful handmade paper. I debated if I was going to put some foam tape behind this central panel, but I decided to go with the liquid adhesive and have this as a fairly flat card. I'm using some of the little inserts that come out when you die cut out those corner little pieces. I'm going to put one on each corner of the center panel. I'll stick that then down onto my card base. And then I've die cut out a couple of little butterflies in the cream paper that I'm using. I'm going to put 3 of those onto the card. And then I'm going to take some Glossy Accents and I'm going to embellish the roses around each lip of the rose with some of my Glossy Accents. And then finishing up, I'm going to put on some Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. I'm using a stamp from A Love from Lizi stamp that we got. It's a Thinking of You stamp, and I cut this apart into 3 pieces when I used the stamp set last, but it just goes back together like a little jigsaw. You wouldn't even notice. Inside then I'm going to embellish around that with a butterfly, and again one of those little heart-shaped pieces that comes out when you die cut out those little filigree pieces. So there we go, that's just putting on the Glossy Accents around the card, and it gives a real depth to the roses when you do that, or to any of the flowers. And I've used this technique on quite a few of the cards. So here's some images of the card we've made. And now we're moving into card number 10, and this is a waterfall card. I have all the measurements here on the screen, so you might pause now so you can write them all down. So I'm taking my flower panel and I'm going to put some glue onto that and stick that down onto the front of our card base. So this can be drying before we actually start to put the waterfall part of our mechanism onto it. I have a white panel here and I'm sticking that down onto my pattern paper. This is going to go on the inside of our card, and we'll be able to stamp a sentiment inside. And I'm going to again make this a get well card, so I'm going to put a sending good healthy vibes your way inside. So once that's all stuck down, we can move ahead now with our mechanism. I have that ready here, and our panels. So each of these little score lines, you've got a 1/2 inch that you can put some glue down on. Once you put your glue down, it can be liquid adhesive or it can be double-sided tape. You then stick your little panel down onto that little section, and then each panel gets stuck down onto each little section that we've score lined off. So you can see here what I'm doing as I go along. Putting down some glue, sticking down my panel, and then folding it up for the next little one. And you want to make sure all your panels are aligned. And then just one more and stick that down. Now I've actually cut this long strip longer than I need, but I've given you the correct measurement at the beginning. So I have my 1 by 3 1/8 strip here, and I'm sticking it down to the back of the waterfall section. I'm gluing that down with some liquid adhesive, and then we're going to put some adhesive on each of those little bits either side. That's what's actually holding the whole mechanism in place. I'm going to use some of my red liner tape, and I'm going to put that down on those little wings that you can see there to the side. Lovely. I'm going to make sure and get all the air out and then take off the release paper. And sometimes that can be hard with this red liner tape. I kind of struggle with it, but I see other people using it and they have no problems. Anyway, I'm going to center this on my card. I'm going to center it from the left and right sides. Make sure the top and bottom is more or less even. There you go, I've that stuck down. I've punched out a small circle in the navy paper, and I've put that down at the bottom as a little pull area. It works lovely. Delighted with that. So just make sure that's stuck down firmly. Now I'm going to put some sequins around the card, and I'm also going to embellish the card with 2 little butterflies, and I'm going to stamp a sentiment there on the waterfall section. As you pull out the little piece at the bottom, that long piece that gets pulled out, you can decorate that, you can stamp on it or whatever you want, just to make sure that if you put anything on it, it doesn't affect the workings of it. I am going to stamp down a thinking of you along the bottom, and it's on the piece that is stuck at the bottom. I'm stamping using the VersaFine Onyx black ink, and that works a treat. The ink does stay wet for a little bit longer than some others, so just be careful you don't smear it. And then I'm going to stick down 2 little butterflies, and I have die cut these out using some of the papers that came in the kit, just the little scraps. I'm stamping a sentiment inside, and this is one that I had in my stash. I'm putting another little butterfly there inside, and once the glue is dried on the butterflies, I'm going to use a micron pen and draw in the little antennae for my butterflies. So that's it. That's our waterfall card, and all 10 of our cards using the Love from Lizi card kit. I'm going to leave you with some images of the cards we've made. Thank you for watching the tutorial. I hope you liked it, and if you did, that you click the thumbs up. Thanks for subscribing if you're a subscriber, and if not, you might consider clicking on the subscribe button down below and the notifications bell too. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Until next time, thanks for watching, and bye bye.